Hey everybody, this is Professor X, and I think that this is long overdue, but coming to YouTube because of the fact that for several years I did radio and I had the platform to express my feelings, and now that time in my life is over, I feel that I do need a new platform in order to engage my audience that I've always had and to have the conversations that I wish to have in the future, just about certain topics that come to my head and all these random things that are always in my mind. And I think that one of the main things I'm thinking about right now, just because of the fact that it's almost October, we're really winding down to this whole entire voter registration frenzy that's going on this year, and I'm really contemplating the issues that both candidates bring to the table. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not. It's more in a sense that I'm already set in my decision, of course, and only because I really think that the decision is very obvious. I think that the best kind of candidate is um, very obvious, and I wanted to talk about the reasons why I think that this candidate really appeals to me before I go into a series of being a Democrat, yet being somebody that has been extremely disappointed with the way that America has been moving within the past few years, and even just within my lifetime and the history of America. That makes me really concerned about my status as an American and how I'm seen overseas, especially since I have recently studied abroad. I studied abroad in Mexico, and what I realized is that just the way I feel about myself as an American has really changed upon being seen as an American um, in the international spectrum. I think that some of the issues that I have dealt with, um, just being American, and seeing the successes that President Obama has brought to America within the past 4 years, especially in the sense that he has followed such a aggravating and disappointing regime um, with the Bush administration. So some of those successes that I have seen and that have been most important to me are pretty much wrapped up into these five um, very important topics that have just really set themselves with me. And what I want to point out is that just this experience that I had within the city that I live in, where I was driving down I-95, hint hint, and I saw a um, one of these advertisements on a billboard that said, President Obama supports abortion and gay marriage. Do you? And it said at the bottom, vote Republican 2012. And that to me pretty much solidified everything that I needed to know about the candidate and about the party that represented him, to have such a terse yet direct message about two topics that I feel very strongly on, those being abortion and gay marriage. Now, those are two things that, in my opinion, have nothing to do with me um, as a voter, because the fact of the matter is that as an individual, I don't identify as someone who plans to marry someone who is the same sex as I am. And also, as a female, I feel that whether or not I agree or disagree with the act of abortion is as crazy to me as voting on someone being pregnant or not as an individual. The need for me to agree or disagree with somebody being able to have an abortion, to me, is unnecessary, it's un-American, and to me it's inhuman. The fact that we have so many issues in America that are based on poverty, that are based on a lack of education, and so many other degrees, where we're to the point where there's such an income disparity that the middle class has basically been obliterated. We really don't have an issue, or none of us should have a stance on whether these things come to play or not. In fact, I never even realized until I was maybe in high school that there was even an issue where two people of the same sex could get married. I didn't even realize that they couldn't. I didn't realize it was an issue. And so now that this whole entire abortion thing has been put up into politics really aggravates me as a female because I'm a person who believes strongly in individual rights and I believe strongly in the Constitution. Um, Theoretically, I do. And I do believe that we should have freedom over what we do with our own bodies, whether it be tattooing it, whether we be it be taking drugs, smoking weed, drinking alcohol, killing oneself. I'm honestly not very interested in knowing too much about how an individual chooses to live their life, in their life, begin their life, or anything that really comes in between unless it affects us as a whole. And I don't think that gay marriage or abortion really affects me to the point that it may affect other people. But to say that I care enough about it to say no, you as a gay person cannot get married. And I'm going to fight with every breath inside of me to make sure that you don't have that right, or to say that I disagree with abortion so much so that you can't have an abortion, that you won't have the choice to, and that you will be forced to take care of whatever life your body produces is ridiculous to me as well. And that brings up so many other issues as to if a woman is pregnant and she has a child that she does not want, how that child is raised and where that child is raised at, and how they become a person and what kind of life they lead and what type of system they run into as being a person who is raised by a person that did not want them is a little ridiculous to me. Hey, what's up?
What are you doing?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing. I'm making a YouTube video. Anywho, based on that fact, I think that some of the successes of Obama have been the fact that even though I didn't agree with this in the first place, and he did turn around the U.S. auto industry, um, the fact that Detroit is literally a wasteland. I've been there before. Anybody who has lived there or has traveled there, there's really no way to disagree with it. The fact that the American auto industry had died and the revitalization of it, bringing it back from bankruptcy was a good idea. Even though, as a Honda driver, to tell you the truth, it didn't really affect me any. Just really bringing some of the tangible value into the United States, um, our industries in general, just because of the fact that we're making more off of entertainment than we're making off of making products. Um, just because of the fact that we're exporting so many jobs and things of that sort. It's really necessary for us to try to maintain some type of tangible industry within our country. And I think that the auto industry is one of the primary industries that we've had in this country, considering the fact that Henry Ford is American, of course, and that has been tied into us producing so many other products. Um, Another one, very quickly, is because I am a gay rights supporter, is the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I can see that, of course, you go back in time and say that, okay, Bill Clinton did this for a reason, that he wanted to try to stop discrimination within the military so that people could focus on the job that they were doing instead of focusing on the sexuality of the people who are doing the jobs. It was an unnecessary measure, and I think that really caused more separation um, within the military than it did to really fix the problem. When people can't be who they are, they do their job worse. They're stressed. They deal with discrimination that is blind to who they are as a person. I know that. I mean, just looking at me as a black person, I'm saying, if I could mask this and I had to hear racist comments about black people all day, I would have some type of stress towards the way that I did my job and the way I felt about myself and the way I felt about the institution within what I worked in. Um, and I feel like in itself that's torture to any person who has had to deal with that. So that was a huge step to me um, in this administration. Um, I guess my third would be that he reverses Bush torture policies. We had Bush saying in an interview that he once did that he thought that waterboarding was not torture, and I challenge anybody to go on to Google and see waterboarding and say that that's not torture and that you would let me attempt that on you. The fact of the matter is that even though it cannot physically kill you, you can psychologically be damaged from going through that act. And people have almost died because of the psychological effects of them feeling as if they were drowning. And anybody who has ever um, not been able to swim and been in that situation where they thought that they were going to die, it is a very traumatic um, situation to be in. And to say that POWs or people that come back from that have witnessed that to say that it's not torture is just, I mean, it's preposterous to me. Um, fourth, am I on four? I don't know. I would say that my next is that he eliminated the catch 22 and pay equality laws. It was a There was a point where there was a statute of limitation for women to sue their companies they work for based on pay discrimination between a man and a woman. So if she found out that a male cohort was making more than she was for doing the exact same job and they had the same amount of time in that position and they were of similar quality and they were doing the same quality of work that she could only sue within a certain time frame. I think it was a half of a year that she had to make that complaint, and he extended that so that even if it happened years ago, a woman could still sue and have that. And honestly, that's the way I say that payback is really a bitch. He expanded national service. There was a point where people that wanted to go into national service weren't going to get paid anything. When you volunteer for jobs, you were literally volunteering. You at some points you were flipping the bill for your travel and your expenses when you were doing service to the nation, or even internationally. And that goes into so many other things about the United States Police in the world. We're not going to go into that right now. Just to say that you can really make money off of going to a AmeriCorps now is amazing, and the expansion of other programs that promote national service, like Teach for America, which unfortunately I did not get into last year. I will be applying again, so hopefully they're watching this. Take me this time. Um, that national service has been expanded to the point where Americans can really help Americans if you want to go in that to that type of field, and it won't be to the point where you're starving to do it. And I think that that takes as much pride and dedication as it does to serve in the armed forces. Believe it or not, I come from three generations Army vets, and I think that my dedication to service has come through them doing their job in the armed services. And even though I wasn't made for that, I think that there's a place for me now to do that because of this expansion. And finally, um, one of the best things that came out of Obama's successes. I'm not going to touch on the fact that Osama bin Laden and things overseas because I don't really care about those things. The things that matter are the things that happen here. I'm tired of people lauding the achievements of the USA abroad because that's not where we make the most impact. Where we make the most impact is when we're affecting our own citizens in a positive manner. Is that Obama gave the FDA powers to regulate tobacco. Now, when I was in Mexico, I saw these ridiculous packs of cigarettes where like there were dead bodies on the sides of them. So when you flipped the top, you always saw a dead body, or you saw like a kid crying next to a man that was in a hospital bed with like a mask on. Just crazy things on these cigarette containers. And I just thought to myself, like my roommate smoked, and I look at this girl who was probably 2 years younger than me, still in college, but she was definitely under 21. Um, and she'd be buying these cigarettes like 2 times, 3 times a week. And she'd flip these packs open and she'd talk about, oh my gosh, like look at this girl, look at this guy on here, look at this dead body, and all these things. And I'm just like, where are we going to make the step as Americans to really just give up this issue that has really been tainting us for the past 400 years? The fact that people are literally addicted to this plant that is killing people, that are giving people cancer. And as somebody who has lost somebody, my family has been extremely close to me from cancer that was caused by um, this plant, quote unquote. It's kind of ridiculous to me that people are still doing it. But because of the fact that um, he stepped towards not only dealing with the Food and Drug Administration preventing cigarettes and smokeless tobacco sponsorships at sporting events, that it's taken it even a step farther than in the 90s when they stopped cigarette commercials and a lot of the advertisements that were on billboards, as well as advertisement that was geared towards children in which they used cartoons to promote smoking. Um, so, as far as I'm concerned, um, that's a big step. When you have something that kills more people than alcohol, than you know, heroin, murder, and all these other things combined, um, it's a really important issue and it should be the top of the docket for any politician that goes into public service. But I mean, who am I kidding? Nobody goes into politics to help anybody. Anyway, that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Peace.